What was the motivation behind getting Rick Ross to come to Angola?
The motivation really wasn't targeted towards Rick Ross per se. It was targeted a number of record labels in the US, not only Def Jam and so forth, but a number of record labels. So reach out to them to ask them if they have any artists, you know, any of their better artists, their more recognizable artists that wanted to do any sort of production in Anguilla. Then we'd be happy to have them do it in Anguilla. Of course, we would not be paying for it, but you know, Anguilla is a beautiful location and it affords quite a lot to them. So just fortunate or unfortunately that Rick Ross was the first of those. That record label was the first of those who took up the pitch to do things in Anguilla.
So you didn't had to pay a cent?
No, not one penny was paid by the government of Angola, the people of Angola, or the Angola Tourist Board for the production of that video.
So, okay, speaking of the tourism board, did they have any say-so whatsoever? Did you consult with them on any level?
Well, there's a number of persons from the Angola Tourist Board who worked alongside this production. The deputy director, as you know, worked intimately with the production. The chairman of the board, he not only worked with the production, but he also, his villa was also used for Drake, who was one of the artists that was featured in the video.
So wait, and did you have to bully him to get Drake to stay there? Because rumors have it that you went around bullying people to put people up for free.
Well, I'll say this, a bully have to be a bully from the time they're a child. And any of my schoolmates can attest to the fact that I have never been a bully. As a matter of fact, as a school child, I was bullied quite a lot, and that has not left any scars on me per se. It just have built up my resilience to criticism and abuse. But I have not bullied anyone, and you can speak to every one of the individuals who are part of this production about that.
So you didn't go and ask nobody to put up nobody for free?
No, I did not.
Okay. What about, no, it's a known fact that you went on BB and Facebook and solicit, I'm using my words carefully, solicit people to be part of this video to the point where rumors have it that you even have solicited a 14-year-old girl to be part of the video? That's
a rumor. I didn't solicit any age group, but I did ask that persons who wanted to be part of the video be part of the video. In hindsight, that was a mistake. That was a great error. And I regret ever asking for persons to be part of this video. It was a very short notice, and I'm not making an excuse. It was a mistake, and I've learned from that mistake.
Okay, so what was the motivation behind actually sending out that broadcast?
Because the producers of the video, the record label, were sitting and they were discussing things that they would need. And they said they need some facial profiles of some Anguillians, because they wanted to feature the facial profiles of some Anguillians in the video. And they need it quickly. The persons can come and present themselves, so they can take a facial profile of each of the individuals and so forth to select. So that is why instantly that was done right off my cell phone. And as I said, in retrospect, that was a mistake.
So it was a spur of the moment thing?
It was definitely a spur of the moment.
Okay, did you have anything to do with the picking of the
Absolutely
ladies?
Not. The lady from the record label, I believe her name was Margot. She was the person who took pictures of each of their faces, and then she selected the ladies based on their facial profile.
Did they have an age group or age requirement, any type of contract these women had to sign?
Well, I believe they did, but I was not part of the production.
Okay.
Obviously, as you know, they did not use any of the locals whatsoever.
Okay. Did you all, how should I say, negotiate for any type of control over the video whatsoever to like have a final say-so?
Well, in terms of the video and so forth, we wanted to feature our beaches. We wanted to feature some of our streets, along the streets and so forth. We wanted to feature some of our properties, villas, hotels, and so forth. And that is what we did. And obviously, based on the feedback that I've gotten from persons who work along with the video, Anguillians who work along with the video, they have said that this is indeed what has happened.
Okay. But again, I know you just said that Rick Ross was one of the first that the record label sent.
Right.
Right. But why did you feel you had to accept a gangster rapper, right, to come into Angola?
Well, if Paramount Pictures or Sony Pictures decided that they wanted to do a Sylvester Stallone Arnold Schwarzenegger movie in Anguilla, and we all know what their movies entails. Would we say no, we don't want that type of movie be filmed in Anguilla? If Pirates of the Caribbean wanted to be filmed in Anguilla, should we say we don't want Pirates of the Caribbean to be filmed in Anguilla? Forgive my voice, but I think that it is all a show. A lot of these artists are just that, including actors and so forth. They're just that. They're actors, they're artists, and they sell a product. And the movies and so forth that we see that perpetuates lots of violence and sex and so forth. While there may be a lot of people who may not want that to be shown on our television stations, it is out there, and there are other mediums other than television that you can do these things.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Now, what do you think the impact, right, of having Rick Ross and the Atlanta Housewives in Anguilla? The short term, long term, what are you hoping for, and what have you seen from it?
First, the short term impact is that you will have more people, and definitely this will happen. It's a given that it will happen, that more people will know about Anguilla. Much more people will see the images of Anguilla, will see the beaches of Anguilla, will see the ocean of Anguilla, Real Tranquility wrapped in blue. We'll see the properties of Anguilla and say, hey, this is a place that I would want to go. So that's the short term impact that we are looking for. Long term and medium term is that these people would come to Anguilla, as many of them as possible that can visit our shows, will be able to visit our shows. It is important to note as well that some of the people who might be viewing these shows might not be as affluent as the person who would stay at, let's say, Annie Villas, but that person might be able to stay at Sedans, Serenity, La View, Anguilla Great House, Paradise Cove, in a number of our properties around the island. So we have to understand that yes, we are tourism. We are tourism. We are high-end tourism, but at the same time we are tourism. And there are some people who believe that this might be a move towards mass tourism, but this is not a move towards mass tourism, because the simple fact that we just have over 1,700 rooms in Anguilla, and 1,700 rooms in Anguilla cannot be considered mass tourism. On the flip side of that, we prior to 2010, there was an approval for 4,380 rooms in Anguilla. So the point of the matter is that might have been moving towards more mass tourism than what we have at the moment.
So let me ask you this. Out of these 1,700
rooms.
1,700 rooms, right? What is the occupancy rate?
The occupancy rate actually have gone up. When we, in 2010, our average occupancy was somewhere around 33%. Right now, the average occupancy is about 44%. It is still less than the Caribbean average, which is about 64%. But at the same time, we have seen growth, and the numbers have shown that. If you speak to the hoteliers, if you speak to the general manager of Viceroy, the general manager of Cuisinart, or the general manager of Shoal Bay Villas, they can tell you, Meads Bay Villas or any of these properties, they can tell you that they have seen growth over the last year, over the last 2 years. So that is the direction in which we want to go. We need to have more growth. And we cannot have, as I said before, mass tourism if we don't have the numbers to facilitate mass tourism.
Okay, so you're basically using these two these two shows.
Well, it is not only these two shows, Josephine. The truth of the matter is that we have done House Hunters, HDTV House Hunters, at no cost to the people of Anguilla. We have done the Bachelor production in 2010. It cost the people of Anguilla about $200,000, just over $200,000, and a number of people can speak to the Bachelor as opposed to me. I would prefer other people to speak to that other than me. As you know, that also crashed with the amount of hits that we got after the Bachelor. So the point of the matter is that more people were able to view Anguilla in a positive light. You know, we had a number of entities in Anguilla that was featured in there. We had the Dune Preserve, we had Cuisinart that was featured heavily, Sander Island, and a number of different areas, La Blue, and these fine properties that was featured in the Bachelor, the street scenes and so forth. I mean, it gave me a sense of national pride as well to see Anguilla featured on a big screen like that.
Question: is it true that Cuisinart absorbed most of that $200,000?
Actually, matter of fact, Cuisinart paid, I think their cost to host the Bachelor and produce the Bachelor was over $500,000, and you can confirm that with the general manager of that property.
So they paid $500,000, and the government of Anguilla paid $200,000.
Yes, and also National Bank of Anguilla and the Caribbean Commercial Bank contributed as well.
Ah, okay.
So they found the National Bank, the Caribbean Commercial Bank, Cuisinart, and those properties and so forth found that it was important for them to contribute to this production in order to drive the numbers, to drive the traffic into Angola. Because at the end of the day, the ultimate objective is heads and beds.
I like that saying. Actually, I use that same phrase. I think I got it from you, heads and beds.
Well, that should be the goal of all of us.
Okay, now let's get back to the housewives. Did you do any type of research in regards to the housewives?
Most definitely. What I found is that the housewives were being filmed on the Bravo network, which is as you know, it's a quote-unquote white affluent network, and the Real Housewives of Atlanta. There's a Housewives franchise, but the Real Housewives of Atlanta was the highest and is the highest rated of all of the Real Housewives properties. Now, it is shown in 110 different countries. So that opens up Angola.
Wait, 110 countries?
110 countries.
Countries?
Countries.
Not cities, not states.
Countries, individual countries. And the research is there. Anybody can go online and put in Real Housewives of Atlanta and check this information out. Over 110 countries it is shown in. Now, it opens those markets to Angola now can be featured in 110 different countries, and people can see all that we have to offer. There was so much that was done around that production, so much areas, and the bands, the local bands like Panther Vibes International and Exodus Band, and the artists and so forth, the beaches, the villas and so forth, Cab Chaluka, Viceroy, all of these properties, the villas and so forth that was featured in Real Housewives. That is going to give them quite a bit of publicity, and hopefully the end result, again, heads and beds. Now, we have to understand that Sinbad's is our direct competition. One of our competitors, but it is our direct competition as it relates to the high-end market. And Sinbad's also did one of the Real Housewives. I'm not sure if it was Real Housewives of Miami or Real Housewives of New York, but they did do a Real Housewives episode. I did watch a little bit of that, and I was really amazed because I know there are some people who are critical of Real Housewives being filmed in Angola at no cost to the government and people of Angola at all. So that was important. Not only that, in speaking to one of the senior executives at Starwood Capital, which is one of the major companies in the world as it relates to hospitality, five-star hospitality, and they also own the Viceroy Resort, they said to me that in the presence of other ministers, including Minister Walcott Richardson, who can attest to this fact, that was one of the most important public relations moves that Angola had ever done because of the demographics, rich, white, affluent, who watches the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Now,
that was his statement.
That was his statement, and hopefully he'll be on the island, hopefully within the next 6 to 8 weeks, and maybe you should speak to him about that as well, so that you can get the facts out there, because it's important that the facts be presented to the people.
Okay, now you made mention of all these great places doing the housewives and basically using the same game plan, right? Now, there's rumors again that because of the Real Housewives, there had to be some reshuffling of the Angola Tourism Board. Is there any truth to that whatsoever?
Absolutely no truth to that. Absolutely no truth to that. As a matter of fact, you just need to refer to the press statement that was issued by the former chairman of the Angola Tourist Board.
Okay. And what are some of the new changes taking place inside of
in the tourist board?
In the tourist board.
Well, obviously you have a new chairman in Leslie Richardson. You have a new two new persons in Scott Hauser and Jackie Pasha. Jackie Pasha, the reason why Jackie Pasha was selected and was because of her extensive experience in the villa operation business. And the villa rooms are about half of that 1,700 rooms that we have in Angola and Angola's inventory. So it was important to us that we had the villas seriously represented on the Angola Tourist Board.
So basically what you did was took people that had invested interests in the island and put them in charge of the okay.
It is always best to have people who have vested interests, who put their dollars there to represent these entities. You know, that is why Carl Thomas, for example, is on the Angola Tourist Board. He's a pilot. It is important that we find ways to get our airlift into Angola, and he has brought quite a lot to the table. Carl Woodley, for example, he works in the schools, he works with the kids. It is important that the kids understand what hospitality means to us. And that is why we as an administration have selected the persons who are on this board to represent tourism in Anguilla, because you have a broad cross-section of Anguillians and not so much Anguillians that have vested interest in Anguilla's product.
Okay, so all this invested interest. What about some of our hotels? Now, you said we have 1,700 rooms.
Right.
But now with Capsuluca being closed.
Capsuluca is closed temporarily. Capsuluca will be open on November the 15th.
That's guaranteed?
That's guaranteed.
So they have all their paperwork and everything, to your knowledge?
Well, I know quite a bit about Capsuluca, but I can't comment on Capsuluca other than I know it will be open. But I don't want to delve into Capsuluca because there's a lot of things that still needs to be worked out with Capsuluca.
Okay, I can respect that. I'll respect that. Okay, now, a lot of high-end,
right.
5-star. Now, how does one get 5 stars?
You get your 5-star status from leading hotels of the world and other major publications. It's like restaurants who are 3 stars, 3 Michelin stars. That's a company that gives you stars. They do inspections. They do what they have is secret shoppers. So the secret shoppers will come in. You don't know who they are. They check in like ordinary guests. They pay full rate and so forth, and they evaluate your hotel. And at the end of that evaluation, they will present you with that evaluation.
Now, there's a lot of small mom and pop properties. You know, like I can think of one at the top of my head is Patsy Seaside Villa.
Right.
All right. Now I know that they're not a 5-star.
Right.
Right. Do you have plans to like neglect these properties?
Well, this is the thing. As it relates to tourism and tourism marketing and so forth, we have taken a slightly different direction, because what we were doing in the past as it relates to marketing Anguilla is not bad, but we have enhanced that somewhat in saying that Anguilla is a country for all persons, all pockets. So places like Patsy Seaside Villas, and places like La View, and places like Shoal Bay Villas, and places like Lloyd's Guest House and Great House and so forth, that don't have the financial capabilities of marketing themselves to the wider world. That's where government and Anguilla Tourist Board and Anguilla Hotel and Tourism Association have to step in. That's where we have to step in and assist these properties, because if these people stay at these properties, even if they rent a bike, they still have to contribute to the economy. They have to burn electricity, which goes into the economy. They have to buy food, they have to buy water, they have to do there's transportation and so forth. They go to the restaurant, for example, Josephine, and they order a meal. That waiter will not ask that individual where is it that they're staying and give them a bill based on where they're staying. They will pay the same rate as the person that is staying at Viceroy, or Capsuluca, or Cuisinart.
Okay, so do you have any marketing plans, right, that someone can actually see on paper that will speak to the smaller properties, or the charm escapes, as I've been told they're called?
Yes. Now the thing is that when you refer to me as me having the plans, this is not me per se. This is not me. This is a government, and not only that, it's a government. I have to rely on a number of technical people. I have to rely on the expertise of the Anguilla Tourist Board. I have to rely on our marketing people in Germany, in England, in North America and Canada. I have to rely on all of those people in order to give me all the tools and advice that I need in order to make this thing happen. I cannot do it alone. And it's impossible for me to do it alone.
So you're trying to tell me you just can't sit down behind this desk, come up with a great idea and say, all right, this is going to work, and go there and do it?
No, I can't.
Why not? How come?
Because that is not the way government works. Government, you have to cross a number of different departments and so forth. A number of things that, for example, even me, I'm the parliamentary secretary responsible for tourism, but I am not a member of the executive council. So anything that needs to be done as it relates to marketing that requires finances and so forth, anything that needs to be done in terms of waivers, of work permit waivers, equipment exemptions to allow videographers to come to Anguilla, it has to go to the executive council. It has to be approved by the governor, the chairman of the executive council, which is the governor, and the 4 ministers that sit in the executive council, the attorney general and the deputy governor. So there's a number of entities that has to be on board with anything relating to tourism and tourism marketing and so forth. And one of the things that we have to understand as well, Joseph, is that we have the Sustainable Tourism Master Plan. And in the Sustainable Tourism Master Plan, it says that we need to seek more into the public relations and so forth. It says that we need to do these things. And I was happy to see that, because when I was sworn in as a first nominated member and parliamentary secretary responsible for tourism, one of the things when it was asked of me what would I be doing different? I said I would be taking on all of the good things that was done in the past and enhancing them through social media, web marketing, and using music and film and so forth in order to promote our product and promote our artists. Because a lot of artists in Angola, Joseph, have been exposed to some of these artists that has come to Angola. A number of artists and a number of beat makers, people such as Ludwig Grant, you know, and he has a little conglomerate, for example, that produces beats and so forth, top notch. So they were able to sit down with the people from Rick Ross and so forth and understand the business and understand how they can package their music and get it out there in the hands of reputable record labels and so forth. So that is an experience in skills that they have learned firsthand.
So not long ago, we saw 9 at the Oscars. Was that your doing?
Well, it was somewhat my doing. It was my idea, but I had to consult again with the Angola Tourist Board. I had to consult with along a number of different entities, and we were able to get Blue Symphony with 9, Raoul Vanterpool and Crispin Brooks, which they also financed part of their trip themselves, and I'm sure that had to be very difficult for them. But we received quite a bit of benefits out of that, because 9 was featured in Uptown magazine, you know, and they say the artist 9 at the Oscar event was entertained at the Oscar event, and there's videos on YouTube that you can see of 9 really performing and wowing that crowd. So that in itself gave him that type of exposure and also exposed Angola.
I also saw Crispin Brooks down on a set of the Diced Pineapple show.
Yeah, because what happened is that Crispin was in New York, and Crispin was reached out to, and in order to be able to see how we can get this thing done. And Crispin came out of New York, came to Angola, and not only that, a number of other persons such as Ricky L. Hodge, Rocklin Maynard, and others worked along with this Diced Pineapple set, and Crispin was basically coordinating quite a bit of it. And that is an experience that he can use and he can put on his resume going forward. Not only that, Josephine, that Alicia Carty and Amarsha Richards, they make up for this video shoot. That again is an opportunity that would not have been afforded to them. Now they can put that on their resume and so forth, and basically enhance their careers and their career opportunities. So it is not only about promoting and marketing Angola, but it's about giving young Anguillians opportunities that they would have never had in the past.
Now, you made a statement earlier that stated that you cannot do anything when it comes to marketing Angola that requires finance without going to
the Executive Council.
Correct. But now, prior to that, you also stated that the Housewives and Rick Ross did not cost the government or Angola a cent. So am I to believe that you can go ahead and make those decisions and invite those people, seeing that there's no money that's required?
Well, actually, no. And that's a very good question. That's a good follow-up question. I take it that you have learned your journalistic skills well. But
I live in Angola, boss. I live in Angola.
But here is it though. A number of entities and departments, such as customs, such as labor, such as immigration, and a number of other entities and so forth, such as tourism, the tourism department has to be involved in that. It cannot be done by one man. It cannot be done by one man who doesn't even have the power to sit in the Executive Council. So I know there's a feeling among some people in Angola that I run government, but it's impossible for me to do so.
Well, it's not that a feeling that you run government. It's more of a feeling that you're the pit bull of government.
Well, if I was a pit bull, then I would be attacking the attackers.
Now, you know what? In closing, I just gotta say, thank you. You know what I mean? You make it very easy for me and almost anybody to walk up to you and say X, Y, and Z. Right? I do appreciate it. You know what I mean? I'm happy to see that. I heard that we was going to be completely open and honest with the public, let them know exactly what we're doing and face up to everything. So far, you've admitted to wrongdoing, right, because of an impulse, which was to send out the mass text, right? But that was just you trying to help the people of Angola one time.
Don't make no excuses for me.
No, I'm just trying to put inside of my head what it is.
The truth of the matter is that I was wrong, and I admit that I was wrong in doing so. And I learned from that, you know. And here is it though, Josephine. I will make mistakes, and I will make lots of mistakes. And it is for the people to call me out on those mistakes sometimes and let me know that I make mistakes. Sometimes people pick up the phone and give me a call and say, hey, no, I don't quite agree with such and such. And I say, why? And they will tell me, say, you know what, you're absolutely right. My number's public. Everyone knows where I live. I'm very easy and accessible to find. And that is the way it is. But I have made several mistakes in the past, and I'm not saying that I will not make mistakes in the future. But the thing is that I have to learn from those mistakes, and hopefully that I won't make the same mistakes twice.
Let me ask you a question. People call you and complain a lot. You know, ever call you and thank you?
Well, actually, I do get a lot of those too, but it is not for me to say or to big up myself or anything like that. You know what I mean? I can say the negative that people have said to me and about me. For example, a young lady reached out to me last night, and she was showing me a Spanish interview where they referred to me as saying that Anguilla had rivers.
Rivers,
and
when it rained, right?
And not only that, that Anguilla, that I was a minister of tourism, and I was able to show her in documentation that all of the documentation have been sent out to the CTO and every other organization says first nominated member parliamentary secretary. Now a lot was lost in that interview because that lady could hardly speak English. So when I saw the interview that she showed me, I was really flabbergasted, but it is what it is. The damage has been done. I can't correct what was printed already, but it is what it is, and it was unfortunate.
Okay. No, Anguilla is all about beaches, right? Well, and the
not
people,
only beaches, people,
and the people, and the people,
and food. As a matter of fact, I have right here Uptown Magazine, and it says right here, tripping through the Caribbean's culinary capital, Anguilla. Culinary is food.
Capital.
Capital of the Caribbean, culinary capital. So we're also known for food. I'm a foodie, I love food. The only thing I will not put through my lips is anything that comes from the pig. But be that as it may.
Whoa, you don't go by can and get a little rib now and then?
No, I have not eaten pork or pork products since I was 21 years old, 20 years old. So, and something else to note, I have never sworn a swear word in my life.
Wait, hold up.
And I'm a fan of hip-hop and all music, as a matter of fact. And even though I listen to quite a bit of hip-hop, and I've been listening to it since the 1980s, I don't swear at all. At all. Under no circumstances.
See, I went to school with you, right? So I'm just trying to remember.
You can ask my brothers. They actually live in the same house with me, and trust me, my brothers, they know how to swear.
Trust me, I was running up and down your house as well. Okay, now, our beaches. A lot of people complaining, right, that we're losing our beaches.
Yes, we
right?
are losing our beaches.
And they're comparing us and saying if we don't do something, we end up like Sable. Now, Stacia, correct. Now, I have been at one of the meetings down West End when it's talking about breakwaters, right? Is that something that you have any type of influence on whatsoever?
Well, I don't have it. I may have some influence on it because anybody who's in government would have some influence, right? So for me to say I don't have any influence, I'd be totally lying. I have influence on, I would say, everything. You know what I mean? All of us do. Whether it's Minister Beard, or Minister Gomes, or Chief Minister Hughes, or Minister Richardson, the Honorable Jerome Roberts, and we all have influence on everything. But here is it though. We are challenged with one of the phenomenon that is called global warming. And I was recently at a conference where it was stated by some of the global warming experts, global alarmists, as some corners may call them, that over the next 50 years, I believe it is, or 100 years, don't quote me on that, but the Earth's water, the waters will rise somewhere between 1.5 to 2 meters. That is 6 feet. Anguilla is a low-lying country that is dependent on its beaches. And we have seen severe erosion of our beaches since 1995, and it continues to be eroded. Now in Stacia, for example, it has no beaches anymore. They used to have some black gray sand beaches which have completely gone. And I was amazed to listen to some people in Stacia saying that 20 years ago, that the governments of Stacia should have done something as it relates to breakwaters and so forth in engineering, coastal engineering, to protect their beaches, and now they no longer have any beaches. And this is not unique to anywhere. I mean, if you look what is happening in Barbados, on the west coast of Barbados, where those beaches have been significantly impacted. If you look at Rendezvous Beach in Anguilla, or Cove Beach, or Shoal Bay west, Shovel Bay east, up at Gwen's Reggae Grill, you'll see the significant amount of erosion that has happened to our beaches. You will see significant amount of erosion that have happened since 1995 at Barnes Bay Beach, where Viceroy sits. Now, should we sit back and allow Mother Nature to run its course and destroy our beaches, and by so doing, destroying our entire economy, or should we do something about it? Now, that is a question for the experts to answer. You know, I'm not going to say what you should do about it, because I'm no expert on these matters, but I believe that something should be done to mitigate the damage of beach erosion and coastal degradation.
Okay, now let's say we protect our beaches, we get all these people to come to the island through the music and the movies and the videos and stuff like that. What's the plan to actually get that money to trickle down?
Well, there's a lot of things that we can do to have that money trickle down. One of the things that we can do to keep the money in Anguilla is more farming. A lot of people may not like to hear that, but there's a direct correlation between farming and the hospitality industry. And the farmers, there are different ways of farming and so forth that we have not exploited. There are other things that we can do in terms of creating biodiesel. We have a number of restaurants in Anguilla that use a lot of oil. When this oil is finished, they take this oil juice week and they dump it over at Corridor, and it probably seeps into the aquifer, which damages the groundwater. Now, some entrepreneurs and some Anguillian can create a biodiesel plant and create biodiesel that will keep our dependence on foreign oil, reduce our dependence on foreign oil. Also, renewable energy. I recently visited a TSK plant in San Juan, Puerto Rico, where they're producing 26 megawatts of electricity. Anguilla at its peak right now uses about 12 megawatts. At its peak back in the mid-2000s was about 15 megawatts. But it says to me that with solar energy and so forth, we can produce a significant amount of energy in Anguilla that will keep those dollars in Anguilla, that can be kept in the banks and be able to send out to small businesses and businesses in Anguilla who wants to take loans and so forth, and be able to expand their businesses or develop new businesses and so forth. So really and truly, there's a lot of things that we can do in Anguilla, but we just need to do that.